Hey folks, and welcome to CarStars' 10 Wicked Facts about Reggie's 71 Plymouth Cuda in the 1988 horror film Phantasm II. Fact number 1. Depending on the source, there were between 3 to 4 different 1971 Plymouth Barracudas used to portray the 71 Cuda throughout production of the film. More about sourcing and creating these Cuda clones a bit later on. By the late 80s, the 71 Cuda was already a highly coveted and rare model due to their low production numbers and growing collector demand. Despite the rarity, director Don Coscarelli was determined to include a 71 Cuda in Phantasm II because of its iconic role in the first film and its symbolic connection to the rebellious spirit of the characters. Unable to source authentic Cudas, Coscarelli had to settle for modifying the more widely available base model 71 Barracudas to resemble the high-performance Cuda models. This decision allowed him to maintain the visual and thematic continuity of the film series. Despite the multiple cars used to portray the 71 Cuda on screen, only one was given the full Cuda makeover, aesthetically anyway, and used as the hero car for close-ups and actor-driven scenes, with the others reserved for stunt work. Fact number 2. As you probably have already guessed, no real Hemi engine-equipped Cudas were actually used in the film, as by 88 their rarity was recognized and 71 Cudas had already become collector's items, especially the Hemi-powered models. Instead, the 71 Barracudas used in the film were equipped with the base 318 V8 engine, which was the entry-level V8 option for the Barracuda lineup in the early 70s. While not as powerful as the higher displacement options, the 318 was a reliable and widely produced engine that offered decent performance. The 318 produced around 230 gross horsepower and had a good balance of fuel efficiency and power for the time, which allowed the filmmakers to use these cars for a variety of stunts and driving scenes while keeping production costs down. Fact number 3. The third-generation Plymouth Barracuda, produced from 1970 to 1974, is widely regarded as one of the most notable American muscle cars, particularly the high-performance trim Cuda model. This generation was built on Chrysler's first E-body platform, shared with the Dodge Challenger, giving the Barracuda a more aggressive wide stance. The 1971 model year stands out most prominently with its single-year-only quad headlight design, which distinguished it from all of the other second-gen Barracudas that all featured dual headlights. The Barracuda received other unique styling elements as well, including a more aggressive grille, fender gills, and optional billboard graphics on the sides, enhancing its distinctive look. Engine options range from the low-end Slant 6 to the legendary 426 Hemi, the 440 with the 6-pack carbs being another highly sought-after option. Muscle cars began to decline after 1971, and the Barracuda saw fewer performance options through its remaining production years until the line was discontinued entirely after 1974. Fact number 4. The 1971 Plymouth Cuda is one of the rarest and most sought-after muscle car model lines ever produced, especially the Hemi-powered Cudas. The 71 model year essentially marked the end of an era for high-power muscle cars, as tightening emission regulations and rising insurance costs led to the decline of high-performance American vehicles for decades to come after. Although exact figures vary from one source to another, the 71 model year saw around 110 Hemi Cudas produced, making them extremely rare and valuable today. Of these, less than 60 were hardtops and less than a dozen were convertibles, making the 71 Hemi Cuda convertibles some of the rarest and most expensive American muscle cars in existence. At auction, these cars can fetch prices well into the multi-millions for the most pristine examples today, especially the ultra-rare Hemi convertibles, of which the most recent one known to sell at public auction was this all-original 71 Hemi convertible at a Mecum auction in 2014 that went for a whopping $3.5 million. Fact number 5. When Don Coscarelli set out to cast Phantasm II, nearly a decade after the original film, he had a strong desire to find and use the same original 71 Plymouth Cuda that played such an iconic role in the first film that already had the unique modifications that fit the atmosphere of the Phantasm realm. However, by the time production on the sequel began, Coscarelli was unable to locate the Cuda used in the first film. The original 71 Cuda had since been sold to a crew member after filming the first movie and eventually changed hands again to an unknown person, vanishing from the public eye thereafter. Despite his best efforts, Coscarelli couldn't track down this original car, which had become an essential part of the Phantasm mythos. For more info on the original film car, you can watch my video on the original movie Cuda that I created last year. This led Don to seek help from Jim Capice of the Barracuda Owners Club, who suggested using more obtainable, lesser-value 318 Barracudas instead of the more rare Cuda models specifically. Don agreed, and they sourced the Barracudas that were modified to resemble the more performance-oriented, authentic Cudas. However, unlike the original film Cuda, Dan chose not to make the rear fender flare or sunroof modifications for the Cuda clones for Phantasm II, and opted for just a few cosmetic alterations, such as the all-black paint and Hemi Cuda badges. Fact number 6. The Stunt 71 Barracudas used in Phantasm II met mixed post-production fates. The two that were primarily designated for destructive stunts were in such poor condition from the start that they were chosen for the more hazardous scenes. As for the stunt car setup for the rollover scene, some sources state that this car was repaired and/or restored after, yet others state that it was just scrapped instead. I was not able to find any proof of the rollover car being recovered, but I suppose one could say there's a bit of mystery surrounding that one anyway. However, the different Barracuda that was burned and detonated on screen, marking the dramatic portrayal of the destruction of the car that had symbolized the character's defiance and mobility throughout the film, was indeed destroyed and ultimately scrapped after filming. However, the in fairly decent condition, actor-driven hero Cuda clone did survive its use in the film and even had a continued career on and off over the years to follow, which we'll get into the details of shortly. Fact number 7. After filming of Phantasm II concluded, Don Coscarelli, who is an avid muscle car collector himself, especially Mopars, including other Cudas, chose to keep the hero's 71 Cuda clone from the film for his own collection. In 1998, Don's 1971 Plymouth Cuda hero car from Phantasm II made a quite brief but memorable cameo appearance in Phantasm IV: Oblivion, continuing its role as a key visual element in the series. Despite its portrayed destruction at the end of Phantasm II, the car reappears in a flashback sequence in Oblivion. Fact number 8. In 2016, Don's iconic 71 Plymouth Cuda from Phantasm II made a return once again for the movie series finale, Phantasm V: Ravager, adding a nostalgic connection to the earlier films in the series. Don had always seen the Cuda as a symbol of rebellion and survival, and it was important to him that the car made one last appearance in the final film. Although Ravager was made nearly 30 years after Phantasm II, Coscarelli kept the car's presence intact as a fan service, emphasizing its significance in the story of Reggie and Mike's long-standing battle against the Tall Man villain. The car had a lot of on-screen time in Ravager and was used in several key scenes, furthering its legacy as one of the most recognizable vehicles in horror cinema. And yes, it was indeed the same car that was temporarily dressed up as the very badass battle Cuda towards the end of the film as well. Fans of the series immediately recognized this car, adding a sense of continuity and completion to the chaotic Phantasm world. Fact number 9. So, is the hero's 71 Cuda clone from Phantasm II still around today? Another 8 years after its last film appearance, you ask? Well, fortunately, it is indeed, and is also still owned by Phantasm creator and director Don Coscarelli. Don has kept the car in his possession, and over the years it has remained well preserved as a nostalgic symbol of the film's legacy. Although the car doesn't get a lot of public exposure these days, as its Hollywood career has since come to an end, Don still occasionally takes the car out to events and such for fans, the most recent of which seems to be when Don took her out to the Chrysler Performance Westfall Fling in Southern California last year around this time. Fact number 10. Looking into what the scale model world has to offer for the Phantasm II 71 Cuda, since both the car and the film series have had quite a following over the years, we do have some decent options, fortunately. There was even an official 1/18th scale diecast Phantasm Cuda released by Ertl at one point, so if you're looking for a well-detailed direct official diecast replica, then hunting down one of those would fill that desire. However, these are getting a bit pricey now and typically go for around the $150 to the $250 mark on eBay. There are a number of other unrelated 1971 Cuda diecast models of various scales out there as well that are more obtainable, such as this 1/43rd scale Black 71 Cuda here from Greenlight. And for you model kit fans who would probably want to build your own from this quite nice 1/24th scale plastic model kit from Revell, I will put links in the description below to where you can get the Greenlight and Revell models for those interested. And for those of you who haven't seen it yet, I also have my own diecast car channel named Show and Tell Diecast that I display and detail my diecast models that I add videos to also. I will include a link to the diecast channel in the video description below for those interested. Well, there you have it, folks. Thanks for watching, and make sure to hit that subscribe button if you like what you saw here. You guys are all great. See you next time.